It often seems that nothing can scare archaeologists. They saw the remains of eerie rituals, mass graves of people, and terrible artifacts of antiquity. However, the discovery of a bunker in Japan made archaeologists reconsider their fears and think about choosing a new profession. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. The oldest diamond in the world. Now I will tell you again about precious stones, only very ancient ones. The story will not just be about a diamond, but about the oldest diamond on Earth. Just like in movies or treasure books, isn't it? An international team of scientists discovered this unique stone in Russia at the Utachная diamond deposit, which translates as lucky. Here the name itself speaks of greater luck for the miners. Measuring only 0.3 millimeters, this diamond is smaller than the head of a pin. It lived a very long life, and scientists were able to determine its age using sophisticated methods that sound like real magic. Isotope dating. Scientists thought that the diamond was formed deep underground at a depth of about 140 kilometers. It was very hot there, about 900 degrees Celsius, and the pressure was huge, 37,000 times more than on the Earth's surface. A diamond is 3.7 billion years old. But the most amazing thing is that this diamond deposit is located 20 kilometers from the Arctic Circle, very close to the place where polar bears live. It was here in 1955 that the Soviet geologist Vladimir Shukin discovered this lucky pipe, and then a whole city was built here for diamond mining. And in this pipe, huge diamonds were found, one of which was named after the great Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. Cursed Table Mystery. Have you ever been told about items wrapped in sinister secrets and curses? So, around which incredible and mysterious events take place, confusing even the most courageous. In this video, we dive into the history of one such item. Imagine a cafe called the Delta Saloon in Virginia City, Nevada. There, under the glass dome and behind the fence, is an old table. Why a fence and a dome, you may ask? Well, it's not every day you see a cursed table. Yep, that's right, this table is considered cursed. After all, once, about 170 years ago, in the Faro Casino, where the table first appeared, it brought bad luck to everyone who sat down at it. The table seemed to attract trouble. Everyone who sat down at it lost all their money. Because of this, it was even sold. The buyer was Black Jake. He moved the table to his house and occasionally hosted poker nights with friends, but the table did not bring him good luck either. A year later, he lost all his savings and committed suicide in desperation. Then the table got to the new owner, David Lips, but even he and his family couldn't escape the table's strange cursed power. In a very tragic way, in one evening, his entire family was found dead at this very table. The table, like a cursed ship, passed from hand to hand, bringing only misfortune and tragedy into people's lives. In the end, it was bought by the owner of the Delta Saloon, where it still is now. Nowadays, the table decorates the interior of the institution. It is under glass behind a fence so that no one could accidentally touch it. But it wasn't always like that. One day, the new owner, not knowing the whole story, once again set the table for the game, and the tragedies continued. Is there a curse, or is it just a terrible coincidence? We do not know. But one thing is clear for sure. This table, wrapped in sinister stories, continues to disturb and beckon with its secret. And maybe the curse isn't just a part of our belief in magic and the supernatural. Who knows? Hand of Glory. Ancient magicians and shamans surprise and amaze with their ingenuity. Especially, their knowledge of human psychology is inspiring. Particularly, besides the fact that they managed to create some magical objects, they also force people to believe in their miraculous power. One such example is the Hand of Glory. The first mention of this terrible contraption dates back to the 1600s, but only the ones officially recorded. To create this magical item, the hand of a hanged murderer was needed. The most interesting thing is that I even have a recipe for making this terrible thing. You can write it down, maybe it will come in handy for you sometime. The hand must be cut off from the body of a hanged criminal, marinated in salt and urine of a man, woman, dog, horse, and mare. Then it must be smoked with herbs and hay for a month, hung on an oak tree for 3 nights in a row, and then hung on a church door for 1 night. And if during this time no fear drives you away, the hand will be yours. According to another recipe, the hand had to be marinated in different ingredients, so to speak. Two of them are pony and zemat. Fortunately, we still do not know the translations of the word. So, what is the meaning of this hand? And here, everything is simple. When performing a certain ritual using this hand, you can open absolutely any door on the planet. It's a kind of magical lockpick. Remarkably, history even preserved descriptions of supposedly real cases of the use such artifacts. In the 1873 book Curious Myth of the Middle Ages, there is a servant girl's story. During a severe storm, a beggar appeared on the threshold of an inn in the English county of Northumberland. There was no room, but he was allowed to spend the night by the fire next to the mate. The woman woke up at night and saw how the guest removed a dry human hand from the folds of his cloak, lit the candles fixed between his fingers, and quietly muttered some kind of spell. The maid rushed to wake her master and other servants, but they were fast asleep. Then she grabbed. After that, he calmly wandered around the hall, putting more or less valuable things in a bag: dishes, candelabra, and others. The maid rushed to wake her master and other servants, but they were fast asleep. Then she grabbed a jug of milk and poured it into her hand. The candles went out and sleep paralysis fell from the inhabitants of the house. Now such hands are part of the expositions of several museums, and each with its sinister story. The next find was already of real value in the Middle Ages. Church of the legendary city of Rewrote. Ready to go looking for the lost city? And not just a city, but the whole northern Atlantis. Archaeologists have made an amazing discovery in the depth of the North Sea. They found the remains of the ancient city of Rewrote, which was washed away by a powerful storm many centuries ago. And the most interesting thing they found was the stone remains of a huge church measuring 40 by 15 meters. Imagine how majestic it was. Rewrote was a large and important trading city in the Middle Ages. It was a place where thousands of people lived and worked: fishermen, farmers, merchants, and even priests. Imagine the picture. Cozy streets full of people merely trading and bushing around. Salt and amber were sold there, and goods were even delivered to places as far away as Spain. But alas, it all ended when on January 16, 1362, a terrible storm wiped the city off the face of the earth. Rewrote has since become known as Northern Atlantis. By the way, a historian named Tanya Herman assures that the people in Rewrote were very rich and paid huge taxes. The Danish king Valdemar II even recorded in his books that they paid as much as 20% of their silver as a tax to the king. These were the ancient inhabitants of Rewrote, rich and prosperous until their city was swept away by nature. So guys, the next time you think of underwater cities and treasures, think of Rewrote, Northern Atlantis, and those who once lived there before the city disappeared into the depths of the sea. Israel's oldest find. Imagine you're swimming in the warm waters of Israel and suddenly stumble upon a shipwreck that is almost 2,000 years old. This is what happened to the divers who explored these waters, and now they are ready to share this amazing discovery with us. In the depth of forgotten centuries and sea waves, they discovered a multitude of colossal marble columns 1,800 years old. Incredibly, but these pillars of the past, 6 meters high and decorated with bizarre plant motifs, peacefully hid under the water along the coastline of Bat Yannai near Netanya. For the first time, the shipwreck became known thanks to Gideon Harisha, who noticed ancient artifacts while sailing. He turned to the Israel Antiquities Authority, and now together with them we can decipher the mysteries of history. But how did these columns end up at the bottom of the sea? The director of the Department of Underwater Archaeology at the office, Kobe Sharvet, believes that the marble could have been brought from what is now Turkey or Greece for the construction of the grandiose building. However, the ship carrying this magnificent cargo fell into a storm, which is why it couldn't deliver it to its destination. Our discovery not only gives us an idea of the greatness of the lost ship, which could hold up to 200 tons of cargo, but also helps to resolve disputes about how architectural works were created in the Roman period. Were they completely carved back in their homeland, or was the processing completed upon arrival? The face and phallus of the ancient Romans. We raised the anchors and set off for Spain, where archaeologists from the University of Alicante made an amazing discovery. They found an ancient carving on a rock with images of a face, a cornucopia, and believe it or not, a phallus. This discovery was made in the castle of Tossal de la Cala. Imagine this carving hiding on the rocks has been living for about 2,000 years. In those ancient times, around 8072 BC, the area was a Roman fort where the Romans defended themselves in a civil war. This mysterious stone depicts a human face next to which a phallus and a cornucopia are carved. The carving is quite large, about 57 by 42 centimeters, but it appears to be incomplete because the top is missing. Why was it created, you may ask? It could be ancient graffiti or some sort of ritual symbol. The phallus for the Romans was a symbol of masculine strength and the security of the state, so its presence speaks of a certain protective function of the carving. And the cornucopia, which is also depicted there, is often associated with the Roman deities of harvest and prosperity. Let us recall the myth of Hercules, who plucked the horn from the river god Aeschylus and turned it into a cornucopia. So it is possible that this mystical carving depicts a god or goddess representing abundance. But this is only one of the versions. But you can write your opinion in the comments on this matter. Why do you think the phallus was depicted next to the face in ancient Rome? Did the Romans really believe that such a carving would help secure the state? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ancient Invoice in Jerusalem. Imagine the ancient city of Jerusalem over 2,000 years ago. This is the time when the Roman Empire ruled the world. It was here, on the main street of Old Jerusalem, that scientists found an unusual stone. There were strange symbols and words on the stone. It turned out that this is an ancient invoice, a paper receipt of our time. The archaeologists were delighted. After all, this is the first such item from those distant times found right in Jerusalem. Why is it so important? Imagine what secrets this invoice can reveal. It could tell us about how people lived, what they bought, what their customs were. According to Professor Anna Evans, it is a simple object, but it reflects the daily life of the ancient inhabitants of Jerusalem. It is these little things that give us the opportunity to look into the past and see how our distant ancestors lived. This stone tablet was found in an old tunnel dug out in the 19th century. It was carved into a piece of limestone that was once part of an ancient funerary chest called an ossuary. Professor David Cohen, an expert on the history of ancient Jerusalem, says, "This find gives us valuable information about the commercial activities and economy of Jerusalem at that time. The names and numbers on the tablet indicate financial transactions, perhaps even modern forms of accounting and trade. Each new find in the city of David helps us to better understand the history of this holy place." Dr. Parker Dental Show. Now let's talk about the man who changed dentistry. Meet Edgar Randolph Parker, born in 1872 in the small town of Tynemouth Creek, New Brunswick. Edgar, as a child, showed incredible resourcefulness when he decided to become a poultry farmer at the age of 9. Although this plan failed, Edgar did not lose heart. As a teenager, Edgar tried himself as a merchant in various things, but his father was against this idea and sold his wagon. Edgar was so upset that he decided to set sail with his uncle, who owned several ships. But fate brought him to medicine when he was injured and ended up in a hospital in Buenos Aires. Inspired by the work of doctors, he decided to become a dentist. At the age of 17, Edgar entered the New York Dental College and even tried to start a practice, which led to his expulsion from the college. However, Edgar did not give up his dream. He continued to study and ended up graduating from Philadelphia. After becoming the dentist, he traveled to Canada, where to attract clients, he launched an advertising campaign and offered a new service: painless tooth extraction, using his invention hydrocaine. Edgar soon became an itinerant dentist, pulling teeth without pain. After moving to New York, he met William Beebe, a former circus worker, who offered to organize a theatrical medical show. The show began with a lecture on the importance of oral hygiene, after which Edgar pulled out a tooth from a volunteer without pain. All the spectators were delighted. Soon he had a whole network of offices and an income of $3 million a year. Edgar may have been more of a showman, but he did a lot of good things. He gave free checkups, offered payment by installments, and organized lectures on caring for teeth and gums. That's how one enterprising guy turned dentistry into a real show. Do you want to know more interesting stories from our past and about new finds of archaeologists? Then subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone!